Marvel is releasing not one, but 4 teasers for Doomsday, along with the movie Avatar, and some of them can already be watched in one form or another online. Help each other out in the comments with where exactly, and now in the next couple of minutes, we will break down the first long-awaited footage of the most anticipated film of 2026. Get ready to apologize in the comments, because as always with our theories, we were right. But first, the facts. The Hollywood Reporter has officially confirmed that Marvel is approaching the marketing for Doomsday in a big way, and we will have 4 trailers at once. They plan to show them before Avatar, one after another, for a week each, but the final scheme may change. However, that is not so important because the content of all the clips is already known. The first 3 are dedicated to the characters Steve Rogers, Thor, and Doctor Doom. They generally do not reveal much other than the fact that the heroes will be in the film and in important roles. And the 4th is a true, full-fledged trailer. However, it is claimed that it is not the 4th, but the 5th. And before that, there will be another secret character trailer. But that is not the focus right now. Let's break down what we have in terms of facts. In the next Avengers, it seems several teams will gather at once. The Thunderbolts, the Fantastic Four, Loki's team, and the X-Men. Fact number 1, the full-fledged canonical and testosterone-fueled return of Chris Evans to the role of Steve Rogers. And it's specifically Steve, because that's what they call him in the trailer, and while the captain's suit does appear on screen, it's treated as a relic of the past. Obviously, this is to at least make a show of the fact that the official Captain America in Doomsday is Anthony Mackie, even if the whole charade is pointless. Instead of the suit, Steve decides to hold a child, which of course is a reference to the end of Endgame and his happy life with Peggy, which will of course be interrupted by the interference of Dr. Doom. And yes, we're waiting for you to admit we were right, because for half a year we have been saying that the Russo brothers are making Doomsday a direct sequel to Endgame. Now, it is officially, definitively, and finally confirmed. What awaits us is not the finale of the multiverse saga, but a continuation of Infinity War and Endgame, where Steve Rogers' actions in the past will form the basis of the conflict with Doom. The main theory states that Steve became an anomaly in the multiverse and led to the death of Victor's family. Who knows what happened there, but the fact itself has caused fierce debate on the internet. Not everyone liked the decision to forget about the multiverse saga. The popular insider Daniel Rickman, for example, directly criticized Marvel for making people watch its content for 5 years, only to then abandon the idea and cast Steve Rogers, who appeared in this very saga, exactly 0 times in the main role for the conclusion of the multiverse saga. We personally do not agree with such criticism because honestly, Marvel had no choice. Releasing a film that requires you to know the events of the Ms. Marvel series is a recipe for failure. Releasing a film with Wonder Man as a leader of the Avengers as was planned is a recipe for failure. And as for the Sharon Carter storyline from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series, surely even the Russo brothers' own critics have already forgotten about it. We believe they made a strong decision. Yes, it's predictable, but for 5 years, Marvel has been trying to surprise fans, which led to the appearance of ridiculous characters and the Illuminati. Sometimes you should just give the fans what they want without overcomplicating things. So we suggest closing this topic and accepting that the only projects you need to watch before Doomsday comes out are all the films of the Infinity Saga, including Endgame. Well, for familiarity, you could also watch Loki and Deadpool Wolverine. And now let's get back to the details. The insiders who correctly predicted the Captain teaser say that Thor is next in line. There it is honestly completely unclear what is happening, but the main thing is that Thor has a teaser unlike, say, Anthony Mackie's Captain, and consequently he will also be a main character in Doomsday. And consequently, even Marvel has realized that they have created such a complex situation that only the franchise veterans can fix it. This of course creates the problem of returning to the state of 2019 and the need to find new faces in a new saga. But again, in our opinion, there were no other options. And the teaser rollout also had a 3rd clip focused on Doctor Doom. There are no details on that one either, but it is reported that this clip is the most informative of the 3, and that in addition to Doom's presence, it will also include part of his backstory. This is logical, considering that instead of introducing the main villain, Kevin Feige spent the whole saga making bad jokes and promoting social themes. As for Doom in general, sources claim that the film will position the character as if he is the main hero, and Captain Thor and the other Avengers are not exactly villains, but definitely not the good guys. The concept is very unusual and intriguing for Marvel. As for the main trailer, its details are not yet on the internet. There is only one insider who claims to have gained access to the audio track. We believe this at our own risk. And according to this information, the atmosphere of the clip is reminiscent of the Thunderbolts trailer in the style of an epic film. And then at the very end, a countdown clock ticks down to the premiere. Marvel has apparently decided to play on the title Doomsday with the famous Doomsday Clock, which counts down the time to the apocalypse. Which is ironic considering that Doomsday Clock is literally the name of one of DC's best crossovers featuring the Watchmen. That is the situation. And now let's break it down. The first thing to say is that sometimes you can search for gold and find a diamond. Remember how a couple of years ago the internet exploded with news that Chris Evans was returning to the role of Captain to make a series about returning the Infinity Stones? The topic then died down, and we were all disappointed. But as it turned out, it was for the best, because now it seems this will be adapted in Doomsday. Moreover, according to Ross Marquand, the actor who plays Red Skull, the series even had a presentation and plot drafts. So the Russo brothers could avoid starting from scratch, but from a project that was already planned, but with one important nuance. That series was set to be released in the Multiverse Saga, which has now been nullified. The Russos did, of course, call in Loki's writer Michael Waldron to maintain canon, but there is an opinion that this was done purely out of respect and to avoid making a complete mistake by calling Loki the god of absurdities. This is important because the current canon of the Multiverse Saga tells us that after Endgame, it is completely unknown what happened there. A shout out to the Marvel writers. On one hand, the TVA supposedly monitored the sacred timeline and punished all violators. But on the other hand, a second timeline did exist, and the Avengers' journey to the past for the Infinity Stones was supposedly considered canon by the TVA, which said it did not violate anything. And then supposedly Sylvie killed He Who Remains. Because of this, the multiverse shattered and aggressive variants of Kong began to appear, who started a war at the end of which the victor was He Who Remains, who then founded the TVA, and history repeated itself in Ouroboros, so to speak, which they wanted to untangle in secret wars, preparing the audience for it with incursions of universes into each other, which we saw exactly 1.5 times in 5 years. And one of those times was in a Spider-Man movie where the idea was invented simply to justify the appearance of Garfield and Maguire. So you cannot say that the plot of Doomsday will be predictable and that the Russo brothers have to somehow maneuver to fit into the canon. The Multiverse Saga showed neither incursions nor a true multiverse, so it is quite possible that they will retroactively exclude the statement from the Loki series that said the timeline was fine after Captain's mission, although the fact that Captain did indeed return the stones will remain canon. In the teaser, Steve and Peggy already have a child, and an Endgame Captain clearly stated that he would start a normal life only after completing his mission. It is unlikely that the thoroughly responsible Steve would go off to have fun with women instead of completing a combat mission, so all the stones are in their proper places. Consequently, something went wrong, either in the process of their delivery or later. There were 6 stones, and it is unlikely Marvel will complicate the plot with the Time Stone for the Ancient One, the Mind Stone for Hydra, the Power Stone, for Morag the Soul Stone, for the Red Skull, or the Reality Stone for Asgard. Oh, our gut tells us the studio will cook something up with the Space Stone, which Steve and Tony stole from Tony Stark's father. And it is not out of the question that this will also involve an explanation for why Dr. Doom looks like Tony. Let's say they make a mistake with the stone, and instead Howard fathers not the beloved Tony, but the ruthless Victor from Latveria. This is also predictable, but according to the rule we mentioned earlier, it won't be a problem. Even if fans guess the twist 100 times over, if it is filmed well, it will still be awesome. The only question is what to do with Captain next. In Endgame, we saw an old version, which means he has already lived through both Doomsday and Secret Wars. Therefore, Captain's death is impossible, which greatly limits the Russo brothers' freedom of action. On the other hand, if Captain survives Doomsday and Secret Wars, then a universe reboot is approaching, and a new reality in which Endgame is no longer canon. Most likely, it will be the second option, and they will somehow arrange it so that Captain still returns to the old timeline to live out his life with Peggy. But no matter how you look at it, the element of surprise is still partially lost here. But there is hope that not just the next 2 years will not be lost, but more like 5, because worse than bringing back the old heroes is Marvel using them in Avengers again, and then getting rid of them and rebooting everything. No one will fall for the trick of bringing back Evans and Downey a 3rd time. Consequently, their hypothetical deaths in the film will not evoke any emotion either. We are, of course, not Marvel screenwriters. But in our humble opinion, the most logical solution is to just keep the veterans as they did with Wolverine, and thus give them not just one last ride, but a full-fledged return to the cinematic universe. We really want to tie our theory into this that the next Marvel saga will be the Secret Wars saga, and all of its action will take place within Doctor Doom's battle world. Then you can keep Steve and Victor and continue to release very cool and high-quality content for another 5 years. But even if the Secret Wars saga does not happen, keeping the veterans around would still be a good idea, and their participation would brighten up the new Marvel saga and allow Kevin Feige to avoid repeating an awkward situation and not burn bridges, attracting fans to the cinema with familiar faces for many years to come. But what do you think? How should Steve Rogers' return to the cinematic universe be handled? Should Evans and Downey be kept after Secret Wars? Share your opinion in the comments. For now, that is all from us. Until next time, friends.